Hello, everybody. It's James here with WSI, and my next guest may be the most underappreciated talent in the last 30 years in the wrestling business. He is the master of the 450. He's the master of the 420. It's Too Cold Scorpio. How you doing, my friend?
Whoop whoop! What's up? What's up? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing really well, in fact. With the whole 420 thing, are you still like a big weed smoker, or what's going on with that?
Well, to be honest with you, if it was up to me, it would be about 365 days a year. I would try to stay high and would never come down.
Good man.
Yes, I am still down with the 420, man. I probably will always be down with the 420 as of right now.
So, who are you in a state where it's legal at the moment? I don't know which states are legal and it's not.
Well, there's a lot of states where it's legal, but it's considered legal under medical use, which means you got to have a medical card, like in Kansas City, Missouri, where out in Denver, Colorado, LA, Phoenix, a few other places like Portland and stuff like that, recreational, which means you can go to any dispensary basically and just buy recreational smoke, which means you'll get something on that 22, 23% THC level compared to the medical, where you'll get 36 and higher on a THC level. Difference between the medical and the recreational is recreational, you pay a lot more taxes. Medical, you pay no taxes.
Right. And when you were on the road, when it was illegal everywhere, I asked a lot of people. I asked people who subscribe to my channel, give me some questions for Scorp, and one of them was, back in the day when weed was illegal everywhere, what was the best town to get the best weed?
Hey, the best way to get the best weed was to go to the ECW shows, go to any of the wrestling shows, go to the strip club. You know what I mean? Meet somebody from the hood. You know what I mean? Look for your local hookup. You know what I mean? But my thing is all around the world, no matter where you go, whether it's in the States, America, United, before it was even legal, you always had that chance or that possibility of finding somebody that would have the hookup for you.
Yeah. I just want to talk to you about weed everywhere, but because we've only got an hour, I wrote questions for about 17 hours, so I'll try and do some of the best. Try some of the best. Do the hits. As I said, I asked people, give me some question ideas. About 4 things came up constantly that people want to know about. I'll get to them as well. One thing was, I didn't realize you were in Mexico for a brief while. Can you tell me who was the 7-foot Ultimate Warrior ripoff in UWA?
And UWA, the 7-foot ripoff at that given point in time, to be honest with you, I really wouldn't be able to tell you because I was more with the CMLL at that time and AAA, which was basically our number one competition at that time. They was 1 and 2 in Mexico when I was down there at the time.
I got you as being with El Canek, his group a bit as well. Is that not the case?
That's CMLL, which was basically the group that I was, which was Connect, Mil Mascaras, Dos Cartas. It had the Villanos, Texacanas, Dr. Wagner Jr. So it had a lot of the familiar faces of things that I was used to working with over in Japan as well.
I'm trying to think who else would have been there. Well, I'll move on from Mexico and excuse you. One person wanted to know what it was like partying with the Nasty Boys.
Man, if you ain't never partied with the Nasty Boys, you in for a treat for your life. I mean, I've always, I was saying, for some in particular reason and shit, people used to say they used to be wild and crazy. They was always about having a party, having a good time, but I partied with them 1 or 2 times and shit. I'm telling you, man, it was some of the best partying I probably could have done in a long time, besides partying down in ECW.
How does a night with the Nasty Boys start then?
It's probably going to start with Armpit. It's going to probably start with dropping draws, spreading cheeks, sticking your face in his ass. Then it's going to lead to getting something to eat, drop a few pills, have a few drinks, and then whatever hoses happen to be around at that given point in time, yeah, they was gonna probably be involved in the nasty boy party eventually. You know what I mean? But that was back in the day, you know, when we was all still young and wild. You know what I mean? You know, as I run into them now as they got older, nowhere nothing like we used to be back in the day. Shit.
That sounds like a shame as well. Did you ever encounter anybody as stiff as the Nasty Boys? Were you just always coming out with lumps every time you wrestled them?
Well, you know, as far as me, you know, I mean, stiff, you know, that's never really been a problem. I was trained over in Japan, so, you know, stiff was basically, you know, I preferred, you know, hitting me stiff, you know, than don't touch me. You know, if you don't touch me, I can't do shit. You better hit me because I'm going to hit you. So, you know, for me and the Nasty Boys working, we really had really good matches and shit because I never had a problem. They used to beat the shit out of my partner all the damn time and shit, you know what I'm saying? But as far as me, you know, after that first 1 or 2 times to get in the ring with me and realize I was from Japan and I had no problem with the stiffness, we was all good.
Yeah. Speaking of your partner Buff, I was going to ask because loads of people are asking how's Scorpio and Buff Bagwell doing together and stuff, and then I realised, well, you're at the same place in the same weekend, so you guys must be okay now.
You know, the thing about it is, you know, Buff being the man that he be and shit, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had tried to get him at a different events. I had went up to him and said, hey man, what's up? You want to talk about this? You want to do this right now? And you know, he was always, you know, straight up like, hey, you know, in all honesty, with his neck problems and the car accidents and a few of the things that he been in, you know, internet has a tendency to blow up a lot of shit that's out there. You know, we did have some beef, or I probably had more beef with him than he probably had with me. More so than probably anything else, but we was able to talk and you know, say, hey man, what's going on, you know, and you know, a whole lot of talk, you know, shit like that. Me being a hothead, you know, shit, I'll fight anybody and everybody, shit, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? You win some, you lose some and shit. But yeah, I was ready to fight, you know, come and fight out. You know, we sat and talked. It wasn't really about being a fighter or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we, you know, in reality, you know, we was a hell of a tag team. Whether you like it or not, man, we was one of the best tag teams that they had out there. They didn't do shit with us, but we was a hell of a tag team.
Yeah, definitely. Could you give us like the sort of like brief version of the nucleus of the fallout? And apparently, according to Buff, he was just like, oh, one day we just sat down and talked about it and it was fine.
Basically, that's it. Was just like exactly like he said, man. I mean, I come in, holler, hey man, what's up? He's like, oh man, beef, you know, going around. You said this, you said this. So yeah, I said I was gonna whoop your ass. You said you're gonna kick my ass. You said you're gonna slap me. You said you're gonna do that. Yeah, you know, we talked about it. Next thing you know, shit, we were sitting at the bar having a drink, getting the pen, you know, getting high and shit. You know, like shit ain't never happened and shit. You know what I mean? Turned around, worked a tag team match, and shit, we got in the ring and worked like we never lost a beat.
Yeah.
You know, and ain't been in the ring together in 15 years, you know, 30, 20 something odd years plus, you know, but hey, we got in there and like we ain't ever lost a beat, man. So it was real good to actually sit down and talk to a man to man and, you know, see where we stand and where things work out. You know, I mean, people, me, myself, and other people probably have given Bagwell a bad name, but if you really know Buff himself, in spite of all of the things that might have happened or had went through, you know, throughout his life, you know what I'm saying? You know, Bagwell, he's a good man. He really is, man. He really is good people and shit, man. But, you know, that takes a person that really sit down and really talk to a person, spend time with a person to really know what a person's about and where he's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. You can build a feud in your head for many years, and then when you actually see the person, you realize, well, it was just mostly in my head, and then your true feelings come out when you come face to face with somebody.
When you're high on drugs, man, you accuse a motherfucker of all kind of shit.
I will. Speaking of, Eric Bischoff a couple of years ago on his podcast said, and I'm going to give you the quote here. I don't think I've ever met anyone who smoked more weed than Too Cold Scorpio, before saying that you were an amazing, amazing talent. I've heard conflicting reports about why you left WCW. Eric says that you were basically just too over with the weed smoking and it wasn't going to fly in corporate Turner. Is that true?
You know, to tell the truth, this shit, you know, I was always angry and mad and thought that my getting fired from WCW at that time was due to Ric Flair. And that's why I was mad at Ric Flair was gonna whoop that motherfucker's ass and shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me and shit. You got a motherfucker problem, you think a motherfucker did it. I should address the problem right then and there instead of waiting 10, 15 years and letting shit build up and then not realizing that fuck shit. I was mad and about ready to whoop the wrong motherfucker for the wrong motherfucker reason. And then after hearing Eric on the dark side of the ring on his shoot about, Scorpio being multi-talented, but the fucking big old weed head, I was like, that motherfucker, he was right. I didn't give a fuck, man. I left my fucking weed and shit, man. I was smoking it. I didn't give a fuck, man. I used to walk around with a fucking ounce at all motherfucking times. And I was smoking in a car. I was all about hotboxing. Roll up the windows and shit and smoke it out and get all fucked up. And I realized when that shit stays in your clothes and in your hair, you step out, it's like, I'm good. And everybody's like, ooh, he smelled like he just walked out of the dispensary, like for real.
So really, you genuinely only found this out a couple of years ago that Ric Flair really didn't have much to do with it at all?
Right, not at all. This shit, it was me, Eric Bischoff, who had to fire me, and the reason he had to fire me is because I was a fucking weed head. You know what I'm saying? So, and at that time, when you're in a corporate, trying to run a corporate business, if you're smoking a little bit and you're doing it on the down low and shit, they're probably not going to raise too much hell or anything like that shit. But every fucking high spot and everything I fucking got was invented on me being motherfucking high. So, I am Michael Taylor on some of my best matches because I was higher than three motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? So, I ain't gonna take none of that away, so.
Did you get on board, did you get on with Eric on a personal level, maybe even before when he was just like third string announcer? Did you get on with him as a boss?
I started having more respect for Eric. Eric was always, businessman. He never really came at me the wrong way or sideways or anything like that. So he was always, pretty straightforward and shit, as far as what I know. Me overall, as I started learning more about his background on martial arts and so forth and stuff like that I started having more respect for him. Overall, I didn't really have too much respect for him, not knowing, Eric just coming in, he don't know nothing about the business and shit like that. But, everybody that come in the business basically don't know shit about the business until they learn about the business. You know what I mean? So, that's just, life itself in general. But yeah, that's the way I felt, at that point in time. But no, I never really, per se had any problems and stuff. It was just that learning and growing process of, boy in a man's world, becoming a man, over a period of time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Becoming a man is being able to talk to somebody if you got problems or issue, address that motherfucker and deal with it. It's not, instead of just want to, always want to jump to conclusions. You want, hey, I'm just gonna whoop the motherfucker's ass. Fuck it, win, lose, or draw. It is what it is. So, but at the end of the day, we still gotta work together. So, no love lost, but let's squash this shit. But no, it was never nothing like that and stuff. It was just me learning more about a person himself and his background. A lot of times when a person's in an office or in a position, you look at them as that boss or in that position, not really knowing nothing about their personal life or what else they're involved or what else they're into, besides, everybody got something going on besides wrestling, but a lot of people just don't know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before Eric Bischoff takes over as executive vice president, who was it? Who was it? Either Kip Fry or was it Bill Watts?
It was still Bill, Dusty Rhodes and Bill Watts at that time. I won't say it was still Bill Watts. It was Bill Watts who had brought me in and was starting to kind of push me and stuff like that at that given point in time.
Yeah. So you never met Kip Fry then? That was just before you got back. You got in.
Yes.
So with Bill, he has demandments of what he wants to see and what he specifically doesn't want to see wrestlers do. And one of them is no jumping off the top rope. You're too cold Scorpio and you can't jump off the top rope. How do you get around that?
I didn't have that problem.
Oh, really?
See, that's why a whole lot of people could jump off the ropes, because that was my thing. I was coming over from Japan, Mexico, had a new thing. It was a new era with the high fly and stuff like that. The stuff that I was doing, nobody else was doing it. And so if you go out and you start letting everybody do the splash off the top, the super fly splash or the super kick and this, constantly off the top, what good would that have done to build me up, to be as, too cold, Scorpio, this new aerial style. So a lot of that was, Bill Watts saying, hey, you can't do this, but Scorpio can, because that was my finish, was the 450 off the top. So, so I didn't have that issue as don't use the top. Now, if you're in the first or second match back in the day, you had no reason to go to the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
That was just part of the rules in the wrestling.
That's the problem with, maybe a problem with wrestling today, is that everybody from the first match to the last is trying to steal the show. And it's not their job to steal the show. That's the main event's job, surely.
The problem with it is everybody think that I got to get my shit in. And when actually, if you get your shit in every single night, why should I come and watch you tomorrow night? Because I've seen everything that you can do. You see what I'm saying? If you're in that first or third match, there's no reason to go to top. Your job is to go out, fire up the people, entertain the people, drop kick arm drags. Me, back in the day, that was what the first couple of rounds was about. You say the match built. But now when you got guys going out there doing the 450, which is a finish in the first match and using it for a high spot, and guys are kicking out of it, fucking pisses me the fuck off. It's like, that's not wrestling. When you go out and you do somebody's finish and a guy kicks out of it, that is not professional wrestling. That's, to me, is more like disrespecting the guy in the business who made that a finish and built it up to what it is. Whether it's the stunner or whatever it might be, the 450. You see everybody doing the 450, but nobody give credit to where it was due. I ain't been that much, but the innovator of the 450. Anybody give any credit? Oh, yeah, man, I stole too cold shit. Everybody's always stealing people's shit, but nobody give credit for where they stole it from.
Somebody asked me on the board or whatever you call it, who invented the 450? Was it you or Scott Steiner? I don't know if they're just making things up.
No. Me and Scott Steiner went back and forth about this before. About he did it at XYZ time back in wrestling. He did it, but he had missed it, not as a finish, but had missed it. But I was doing the 450 way before he had done it. I had invented the 450 in 81, 82. And at that time, I don't think he had done it. I was right out of school, 83, 84, getting into professional wrestling. And that's when I had invented that move coming out. He didn't actually really do that move till more later on, maybe toward maybe 89, 90 or so, when he had maybe first put it off as a missed move.
Yeah.
So I still believe that I still was the first one to do it. I invented it. I still was the first one to do it, and I'm taking claim to it. Fuck it.
Who did the first televised 450?
Me.
Good man.
Right. I would say first televised 450 would have to been him, because mine was on the indie scenes at a local bar when I first did it. So yeah, I would say probably on live TV. If you was to look back into history, he probably was the first one to probably do it. Didn't hit it, did it, but didn't hit it on live TV. Probably before I did. I think my first time that they seen it on live TV was Ghetto's Odd Match, WCW, me and Ron Simmons against Tony Atlas, the Barbarian, and Cactus Jack.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll give you the credit, definitely. 100% of the credit goes to you, 450. The most requested question, surprisingly to me, is that everybody wants to know, in depth, in detail, your trip to North Korea in 95, Collision in Korea, because I think the Dark Side of the Ring came up not too long ago, and everybody's really fascinated with it. So of the amount of questions I've got here, what did you know about North Korea and the crazy regime before you went?
Absolutely zero. I had no idea what we was going into. I had no idea what we was involved. I just knew that we had a big deal. At that given point in time, I was still in New Japan Dojo. I remember them coming in and saying, hey, we got a big thing coming up, WCW, New Japan going over to North Korea. First time that they let Japanese and Americans in their country in X amount of years since the Olympics was done there. Was probably the last time that Japanese Americans was allowed to go there without being detained or whatever. So had no idea, but we knew that we was going. So we actually, New Japan actually had sent a couple of guys over who was actually Korean. I want to say they might have been North Koreans at that given point in time that was training. That had actually, and a couple of Japanese guys had the opportunity to go over with videotapes and films to produce to the country so they can watch wrestling again and kind of get back up on that's kind of smarten them up on about the wrestling in Japan and America coming over there. So they was able to go over and do a couple of pre-shows and things like that to kind of get the people interested. And because the last time they had wrestling was back in the day when one of the greats, Ricky Dozan, was North Korean, which was a famous, was one of the world's famous wrestlers ever, over in Japan and North Korea. So
when you first got to North Korea, when was the first inkling that you just weren't in Kansas anymore and everything was just it was obviously a very communist run and chaperones and stuff.
Before we left, when they told us that, hey, when we're flying on this flight, they have changed the flight. We're going to be flying on a North Korean airline flight Pacific. This flight will have cameras and microphones on this. They will be spying on us from the time we leave to the time we land. So we found this out way before we left. So right away, we was already on strict things on what not to say as far as negativity toward the country. I don't know how much they was smartened up on the American side because I was basically with the Japanese boys, in the dojo at that time. So we were smart enough to our rules and what we could and could not do. Specifically for me, it was Scorpio. You cannot talk to the women over there. You will not date none of the women. You will not say nothing to none of the women. That was for me specifically. You know what I'm saying? Or else you will be left over here, So the biggest thing was when we got on the airplane and we flew, all of that was like, wow, I'm looking around trying to see where they had the cameras at and the microphones. And, so I'm already trying to figure out where shit is. But when you land, and as soon as we land, the first thing they said before we got off the airplane was, give us your passports. That's when I went, oh shit. We might not leave, because then I had no idea what we was in store for,
Yeah.
So we couldn't see the airport. When we landed, the airport was covered with a camouflage tarp. You didn't even know he was even flying in. It's like he was flying over the mountain, and then we just swooped into the airport with, at that time, there seemed to be a couple of helicopters, Army helicopters and tanks that was covered up in camouflage when we landed. Flying in, you got to see the north side of Korea with all the tanks pointing toward the north, and then a big gully, a couple of miles wide, and then on the north side, the tanks and shit pointing toward the south, which I thought was pretty damn freaky. But yeah,
the demilitarized zone.
Yeah, we're definitely in a different world now.
Yeah. Well, you've already answered one question I was going to ask, was you were on the New Japan side, not the WCW side, because you had left the previous year. Did Eric Bischoff ever make any overtures did you even speak to Eric, and did he make overtures towards bringing you back for the upcoming cruiserweight division that he was trying to build at the time?
At that time, I don't think there was any business or anything that was discussed as far as coming back into WCW, for the cruiserweight or anything at that given point in time and stuff, It was just strictly more or less focusing on what was at hand and a playlist of every place of where we had to go every single day, things we had to see, prior to working up to the 2 days for the show.
Yeah, when you're surrounded by 150 to 190,000 people, what is it a special feeling, or do you not even notice how many people are out there?
I would say normally you wouldn't really notice, but for me, after working in Tokyo Dome, Sumo Palace, places like that have sold out, 60,000, 80,000, I thought that was a lot of people, for me. I figured, hey, another 80, it's not going to be that bad. But I actually was the first time probably ever in my whole wrestling career, I actually froze up and just kind of stopped on my interest to actually take in 199 some thousand people they had, 2 nights in a row, you know what I mean, which was amazing. That was probably my only time ever that I was probably stunned by that many people at one place.
Obviously, you've worked in Japan, or you've worked in Japan prior, as you just said, so you'll be used to unusual crowd responses where they're quite quiet and maybe polite applause or something like that. Did this audience make any noise, or did they have any clue what they were seeing at all?
I think with them going over, with New Japan going over and taking tapes of Ricky Dozan and some of the old wrestlers and some of the new wrestlers that was coming over there and sparking the people up, I believe that had a lot to help and do with the whole us going over there and getting some of the reception response that we got. A lot of it, they was kind of quiet, but a lot of it, they would clap and cheer. I thought what we got during our matches was genuine. It didn't seem like it was what we would have got if we was in America or in Japan as far as the crowd response noise-wise. But I still thought we got a very good response, overall.
Yeah, and obviously because you worked in front of 300,000 people, give or take, the payoff must have been amazing, or was it not?
If you was in that role or that situation as Ron Simmons or a Hawk or somebody that was on a main event, more or less level, if they had brought you in specifically for that show and that show only, then you probably made a pretty decent payday. Where me being over on the New Japan side, training young boy and all, I basically got my regular base training that I probably would have got. We probably got a bonus or something, but it's hard to recall.
No, you'd hope to get a 6-figure sum, really, wouldn't you, just to be on that show?
You would, you know what I'm saying? But just the opportunity to be over in North Korea alone is a lot of the pay in itself too as well. So
yeah, I'm going to give you this then, because on the second night you faced Chris Benoit, one of the all-time greats in ring, of course, and something that Raven said, not to me, but in another interview, I found very interesting was that Raven's probably the only person who disagrees that Chris Benoit was a great worker, in the sense that he was consistently rushing from one thing to the next without ever giving sort of time to breathe. Do you think that's a fair criticism of Chris?
No, I think that was more so of the Japanese style of pace that Chris was used to working. Japanese style of pace was attack, guy jumps you attack, stay on your opponent. And I think Chris's style was more of a Japanese Mexican style. And then once we went to WCW and we was working together, I would say Ricky the Dragon Steamboat actually was the one who actually worked with me and Chris to have us slow our Japanese style down and sell more so we would get more out of it. So I would have to give our credit actually to Ricky Steamboat on teaching me and Chris on how to slow down more and sell more as we started working, instead of just working that Japanese hard go fight type style, So I believe Chris was a hell of a worker. He could wrestle, he could shoot, he knew the hose, he could do some high flying and shit. So to me, he still was an all around, wrestler, So, for me, I still got to take my hat off because we had that kind of chemistry that if we had a bad match, folks thought it was a good match. And if we had a good match, folks thought it was a great match. So when we had a great match, people didn't know what to think.
What was the greatest match you two guys had, do you think?
Man, I would say Japan, WCW, Fall for Brawl, 19 minutes and 59 seconds. That's probably one of the best time close finishes that everybody could probably ever pull off in probably a lifetime. You know what I mean? But we did it.
Yeah. Do you find it, how easy or hard do you find to reconcile the Chris of his last days with the Chris of the 90s that you knew a lot better?
For me, knowing our business and shit that you can actually go through with mental health and physical abuse and, being in a professional wrestler. If you come to the States and they promise you this and this, they give you a contract and you're making X amount of money, and all of a sudden you're making all this money and you buy a house, and all of a sudden they start taking your money away that they promised you that you was starting to get. And now all the days of show you start waking, they start taking some of those days away from you. And now you're not as working as many days, and now you're not as making as much money. It starts to play a role on your head. Like, fuck, are they going to fire me? Am I going to go? I just bought this house with my wife, my kid, so you start, who really knows? And then, who really knows what he was doing behind closed doors? We see a lot of people see what we do when we go to the ring and we do this, but a lot of people really don't know what's the trauma or the house problems or what problems they truly have behind closed door that drove him to maybe the drugs, the pills, the steroids, or whatever it was that caused him to lose his mind and to do what he's done. You know?
Absolutely. Possibly the most requested question, and I specifically don't know anything about this because I wouldn't be surprised by the answer, is also in North Korea, Hawk. Take me straight from the beginning what the source of friction was between you two guys.
Friction basically he was buddies with Flair, and he thought that he was going to take up for Flair because I said, oh, fuck that pussy, let that pussy ride by himself, talking about Flair. And Hawk thought that he would step up for him and protect him. Says, what did you say? And so I had to repeat myself. And I don't know. And then I turn around, I can repeat myself and says, I don't know, was it the pussy or the F that you didn't understand? And after that, he said the N word. Next thing you know, I was whooping his ass. So, it is what it is. And we was over on a peace treaty thing, it wasn't like if I was trying to or nothing, but you ain't gonna disrespect me and think that I ain't gonna whoop your ass, or we ain't gonna get into a fight. Win, lose, or draw, you gonna know your ass was in a fight one way or the other. So,
You did a fantastic job censoring yourself where you needed to as well, So take me into the actual fight itself. So Hawk is taken up for Flair. You respond, defend yourself. Who threw the first punch?
He walks back to me. He throws a punch at me and stuff. I duck it, boom. I tag him about 3 times, right on the bus and stuff. And all of a sudden, he steps back. I step back. I rip open my shirt. I jump back in my chest. I'm wearing a suit, a tie. So it's like, fuck. I'm kind of constricted because I know what I can do if I ain't got my suit on. My dad was a professional boxer. I'm a Golden Glove boxer, did kickboxing, so forth. So I have some skills in my background. I know how to protect myself. So like I say, once I tapped him 2 or 3 times, Japanese boys jumped on me. He kind of held me back. He swung again. He missed, fell down in the seat. He kind of got up on top of me, was trying to throw punches, hit nothing but air. As I rope-a-dope around him, thanks to Muhammad Ali. Anyways, shit, I got up back up on top of him. I was beating down. I reached in, went in, and started pulling his eye, man. And I hooked it, and I was on my way out. I was gonna pull his eye out and feed it to him. Shit, I'm where I come from. If you're hungry and you want something, I'm gonna give you stuff. So I was going after his eye, and the Japanese boys grabbed me, and his eyes coming out, and he started to bleed down his eye and stuff like that. They pulled me back and kind of separated us a little bit, and he said something else, and I went back and threw a straight right kick down the bus and kicked him right in the face and jumped on him again, man. They pulled me off of this stuff. So, and it was that. After that, man, I realized that we was on a peace treaty thing in the middle of the bus, in the middle of the street, and I'm whooping this motherfucker ass. But yeah, we're both from America and shit. We're supposed to be over on a peace treaty. Supposedly, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, that's why they don't let Americans and Japanese in their damn country, because they don't know how to act and shit. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I had to whoop his ass and shit. We get to the site. We got to go to this 5-year-old, 500-year-old temple site, to go see one of the famous kings, dad, uncle, somebody that passed. So as we're making our way to the temple, I, apologize to everybody on the bus, man. Trained Japanese style, realizing I fucked up. So I apologize to everybody. I say, I'm sorry. And I get up to Hawk and I said, yo, bro, I'm sorry, man. This ain't the place for this. And he's like, fuck you. We get back to Japan, man, we're going to do this. I was like, cool. We get back to Japan, I'm going to beat your ass, good. This was just a taste of what you got to get. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, as we're talking, he's like, don't touch me, don't touch me. He takes 2 steps in front of me. He turns and throws a punch as hard as he can, hits me in the face. And I'm like, man, my sister hits harder than that. So I went after him and shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was going to beat his ass again. And after that, the Japanese boys got in front of us and we never really ever had a chance to finish that, you know what I mean? And I thought I was going to get the opportunity to finish it down there in WCW when me, Undertaker, and him was in the locker room. But he said something smart about, hey, Scorpio could take a punch. And I said, hey, Hawk, if everybody don't know about it, they don't need to know about it unless you want to get some more. And that's when Undertaker's like, nah, it's going to be cool. It ain't even worth it. You know what I'm saying? So we all good.
Where did the shiv come from?
The shift came from after the first night and shit, after the shit went down, the fight went down, I'm thinking, shit, this motherfucker's going to come back at me. And where I come from, you ain't going to catch me barehanded without a weapon. I can make a weapon out of almost any goddamn thing. I'm always going to have a weapon. Don't think that you're going to catch me empty-handed and sleeping. So, we went to dinner, fancy dinner, stainless steel chopsticks. They had the bulletproof box upstairs where his father sat and, watched the show and stuff like that. And it just happened so that next to me was an empty spot and had a pair of extra chopsticks. So even with my chopsticks, I would eat with one, drop one, pick it up, slide it in my pocket, take one from the other side, move it over, drop the other one, pick it up, slide in my pocket. Being the thief I be, wasn't trying to steal shit, but I needed a weapon. So, I realized they were stainless steel. So when I got them back to the hotel, I had opened up the window and that old concrete, seal, and I just started sharpening them down a little bit more on that concrete. End up taping them together and putting a handle on it where I can hold it, and shit. Walked around one for the next couple of days, just in case, you want to get out of hand. And talking to Black Cat, he kept saying, please don't, please don't. He goes, if you kill him over here, if you stab and kill him over here, I'm probably would have still been in North Korea right now to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if it wasn't from him, I probably would have done him over there. And then by the time we got to Japan, and he had already kissed and made up. So by that time, we was all good, by the time we got to Japan. But I didn't trust him after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would have actually had one more opportunity to fight if the tournament brackets had aligned in the Brawl for All, because you were both in it. And I can never have a guest on who I know has been through the Brawl for All and not ask about it. So, first time you heard of the Brawl for All concept, who came to you and what were you promised and what were you told it would be?
I was told I couldn't get in it. That I wasn't in it. I wasn't picked to be in it. I asked to be in it. And it says, nah, well, we'll put you down as one of the extras. They was trying to get the top guys in. Names more so Dr. Dev, Ron Simmons, Vader, all of these guys. They was trying to get all the top guys in it. Unfortunately and shit, a lot of them was like, shit, but if you shoot, fight, fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I worked on this hard to get my career because a lot of guys who built their career up, like Dr. Dev, Steve Williams, has been a tough man in the business. And then you go out there with Bart Gunn and get knocked the fuck out. Guess what? You ain't so tough no more. All that shit you built up and established really don't mean shit when you got knocked out, in the first, second round. You know what I mean? So my thing was I wanted to get in it, but at that given point in time, I was still having that problem with that Jenny Craig diet. So, I was, up for like 2 nights straight, ain't been asleep, smoking crack, wrestling, fighting. And I just happened to be up underneath the table at TV, trying to sleep off the crack high and, regain my sense of thought, to get ready to work. That night, and it came to me and says, hey, XYZ dropped out. Do you want to be in the fall for Brawl? I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. How much? It says it's $1,000 per fight. Every fight's $1,000. If you win all of them, you can win like 10,000, 100,000, whatever it was. Was the purse, I believe, if you had won all the fights. So I was like, shit, easy money.
Yeah. Of all the people who are in that, I know you won't know off the top of your head everybody, But before the tournament started, who did you think was the people to worry about who were legitimately, could cause you problems?
I thought that Bob Holly, Bart Gunn, and the Godfather. I thought at that given point in time that Dan Severn probably would have been the other one that I probably would have had problems with overall. Other than that, everybody else basically had me on height and weight. But other than that, I was like shit, 7'2", Harris brothers, 6'11", 7 feet tall, my first fight, I'm saying, second one, the Godfather, you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely had my work cut out for me, you know what I mean? So, if I had known that I actually was gonna be in the tournament, I probably would have been up partying for 2 or 3 nights straight with no sleep and shit. I probably would have got some rest and been a little bit more prepared for it. So, yeah, so at least when I fought the Godfather, I knew I was going on to the second round. So I was more prepared and, I was more ready for it.
Yeah, so you didn't come away with any injuries like basically everybody else did?
No, I think the match with me and the Godfather, we both walked out probably with, I think he walked out with a fat lip and a black eye. I think I walked out with a black eye, maybe a swollen face a little bit or something like that. But overall, with the Harrison brothers, no, they get hurt. They get no bump bruises, no broken nose, no teeth knocked out, no black and blue marks and shit, no nothing like that, man. It was just me and the Godfather. It was so wild because, man, the Godfather, was driving together, hanging out, and he was like, hey, man, shit, bro, I know we friends and all, bro, but hey, it's about the money. The Godfather, he's like, yeah, we went out and smoked and shit. He's like, yo, man, I'll see you afterwards. He goes, I won't be talking to you no more after this until after the fight. He goes, I'm serious. He goes, we're going to be serious. So what you want to do? He said, we're going to fight. I said, all right, then, fuck, we're going to fight then. You know what I mean? So we already had to understand, like shit, we probably ain't gonna try to do a whole lot of wrestling and take down. We're gonna go out, Rudy's gonna throw some leather, brother. Let's just fight. And he said, and that's what we did. We went out and threw some leather and we had a good old fight. And afterwards, we went and had some. Like, yeah, man, you telling me good. Like, yeah, you got me good. Talking about the fight shit, what you do and shit, so.
I must be in the 1% who still enjoyed the Brawl for All. I will watch anyone fight under any rules. I always enjoy it.
I always enjoy a good fight, man.
Good man. I'll tell you what, because we've got maybe 20 minutes left, I'm going to go through the finale now, and then if you've got any more time, I'll ask you a couple more questions to finish up. So the finale I call the firing line. I'm just going to throw some names of guys that you've worked with, or girls that you've worked with in the past, and you just tell me, I imagine you're going to like all of them, or most of them at least. If there's a story with them, please tell it. And the first name is Droz, Darren Drozdov.
Who?
Droz.
Say it again. Droz. Man, easy to work with. A hell of a gimmick. Anybody that can make themselves throw up on the man, you got some kind of talent.
It's very specific talent as well. Booker T.
Right. It was just unfortunately, for the things that happened to him, unfortunately, with his neck and stuff like that, because, coming in and stuff, he was really nice and just a really good person, just overall in general.
Yeah. Booker T.
Booker T, my brother from another mother. Me and Booker T hooked up in Atlanta. He basically took me under his wing. We rocked, we rolled. The thing about Booker T is I take my hat off to him because he did a lot of stuff that a lot of brothers wish they could have done. He got his shit together. He went on. He did good in WCW, WWF. He got his own company, his own business, his own shit going on. But me and him have always rocked the show, stole the show, no matter where we go. And anywhere now today, when I see him, man, if he say, yo, Scorpio, I need you to come in, I still go down and work for him and do whatever. The thing about Booker T is I don't stay in contact with him as much as I probably should. Lost numbers in ways. Every time I see him, he's like, yo, give me your numbers. Like, all right, I'm gonna give it to you. He go this way, I go that way, and we end up missing each other and stuff. But yeah, brother from another mother.
Is he just like one of the dudes you just love to party with, hang out with after the matches?
Booker T, he family man now, so it's not like, back in the day, even back in the day, we weren't one really to go to the club and hang out. We would go work, go do what he did. He was about, his gym, his money, his goals. So, he wasn't about going out to the strip club, spend a whole lot of money and shit like that. It was you know what I mean? So that really worked out. It was all about, hey, got some good smoke, get a smoke on, do what we do, keep it moving. He was more on the down low about what he fucking doing shit. Well, I was like, fuck it, it's me.
Owen Hart.
Owen Hart, one of the best worker ribbers in the business that I've ever known. Owen Hart is the type of guy that he can go out there with you and he can make a mistake in every high spot you call and make it feel like it was your fault, even though he was the one who made the mistake. or he can go out there and he can put on his lacing boots and be ready to work circles around you, whether it was Mexican style, Japanese style, or American style, or if you just wanted to be stretched. All around talent, super, super nice guy.
Brian Christopher.
Underrated, hell of a worker, caught up in the wrong family and drama with the bullshit.
Van Hammer.
Heavy metal, hair cutting motherfucker, super cool to hang out with and shoot the shit and smoke out with.
Did you see Regal headbutt him at DDP's party that year?
Who?
Did you see Steve Regal, Lord Regal? Did you see him headbutt Van Hammer?
No, I did not.
Never mind then, I'll move on. Missy Hyatt.
Okay.
Missy Hyatt. Nice, freaky, big old lips, and some big old titties. But she was always super nice and cool when she was with me and Sandman as our manager back in the day. Never had any problems with Missy. Me and Missy go way back when she was kicking ass in WCW way back when and shit. So, Jason Knight.
Jason Knight is a person I could call my brother from another mother who likes it different than anybody else does. Very nice, very cool, was always laid back, always showed me respect. We always had good matches. And afterwards, we always just shot around and shot the shit. Didn't matter what he was into or what I was into. We always had a good time just bullshit.
Mark Mero.
Super nice, quick hands. Wanted to test him one time and shit.
You've got to tell me the story.
Shit. I wanted to test him. He Golden Gloves, I'm Golden Gloves and shit. Scorpio, I don't give two fucks and shit. I'm high. Mark back in the day and shit. He was real particular about his uniform, his gear. A lot of the shit he made, his wife made, and stuff like that. So he was really, when he went to the ring, like a pretty boy. He always wanted to make sure his shit was on point. His gimmick was Little Richard. He wanted to make sure the makeup was right, the headband was right, the outfit was right. My boom, everything was right. So we had a local show down at a place one time and shit, and I'm wrapping up my tape, and I got about yay much tape left on my roll and shit, and I go over and I stick it on the back of his tights and shit, and he doesn't realize it's there and shit, and he goes around and he's doing his shit, and I guess right before he got ready to go out, realized that he had the fucking tape that was on his fucking shit. He's like, man, I fucking did this shit. I told him it was me. And he kind of got mad. He was like, fuck you, man, fuck you. He was like, well, fuck you too. And I thought we was going to go at it. So I started stepping to him and shit, you know what I'm saying? He kind of started stepping to me, but he didn't step back or anything. Well, I was like, fuck, you go to gloves. I was ready to test the waters with his ass too. But, shit ain't never happened like that. Come to find out, man, Mark was just a cool ass motherfucker. Got a background like I got, did Golden Glove boxing, got problems, got drama, had a gambling habit, undercover drug habit, like all of the wrestlers do, and try to play like ain't nothing going on and ain't nothing wrong. long, you know what I mean? But then turned around to be a hell of a speaker and an inspiration to a lot of people that's going on, being able to tell the true story about what really happened into your life and what changed you to get on the right track.
Yeah, and what a nice guy as well. I spoke to him myself. I'll give you a few more. Well, let's go with Sable as the obvious tie-in.
Sable, really sad, really disappointed that I didn't beat that pussy up when I should have had a chance to beat it up. But other than that, it's very nice, very beautiful. I believe she had got caught up in that wine song, Women and Drugs, a lot of that WWF fame and Playboy issue stuff. Didn't per se really could have probably went to her head a little bit as boosting her on, putting her on a different level than what she was on when she first came in, and then being able to go out on that top level, but at the same time, trying to have Vince undercut you and underfuck you underneath at the same time. To me, she was always very sweet. We've always got along. I was just a little disappointed that we probably couldn't have hang out a little bit more, and kind of glad that we didn't hang out more, because I knew her husband, Mark Merrill. And if I didn't know Mark and I had met Sable and I didn't know Mark, yeah, I probably would have tried to fuck her like everybody else did. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Like a rat up a drain pipe, as we say over here.
Light them up, you know what I'm saying? China. Very, very underrated, and was never sure if she was a man before she was a woman, because I've never seen a print in my whole entire life. You know, sometimes, you know, you wear pants that's tight, you got to show off a camel toe someplace here or there, whatever. I just don't know. So, you know, my thing is I don't know if she was China-ish, like mannish, or if she was just all woman and just, you know, big with the steroids. But I tell you one thing, she was super nice. I went to the gym and went and worked out with her and Triple H one time. And when I went over there to the bench press and realized that she was bench pressing more than me, I ain't never went back to the gym and worked out with her again. So.
Art Bar.
Who?
Art Bar. Love Machine.
One of the greatest of all time. I believe that him and Eddie Guerrero was one of the best tag teams ever. Two guys that was way ahead of their time before their time. You know, multi-talented, come from a multi-talented family. You know what I'm saying? And then with him and Eddie, it was just sad to see how soon that he was able to leave before he was really able to maybe make it more to the WWE, WF, where he probably should have had a chance to have that run at like Eddie did.
I'll give you a few more. Ahmed Johnson.
Ahmed Johnson probably should have stuck to football or something instead of being a professional wrestler. Becoming a professional wrestler, he really let the gimmick of being a heavyweight champion go to his head. To me, if you have to have implants on a bicep and a tricep to get muscles, then probably professional wrestling is not the sport for you. You probably should go into acting or entertaining instead.
Is that true? I've never heard that before. So he generally got the implants?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the fight that Godfather told me about between D'Lo Brown and Ahmed Johnson in the back?
No, I never did. I wish I had to ask about that. I wish I would like to know, but I know D'Lo. I wonder if D'Lo put the beat down on his ass though.
Yep, that is the story I've heard as well. Paul Bearer.
Yes, Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer was one of them guys that was very laid back, very knowledgeable. And I think with him being with the Undertaker stuff, it really gave him a lot of insight to what was going on. And he was one of those type of guys that if you was willing to ask him to look at your chair or watch you or help you or see what he could come up with, he would. I never had an opportunity to really party or hang out with him, just in the locker room in the romper, say, hey, how you doing? And hello. And just, you know, very respectful, you know, every time I've ever seen him and been around him.
Yeah. Did you wrestle in Austria, Germany? Did you do the tent tours?
Yes. No, I did never wrestle in Austria. I did Bremen, Hanover, but yeah, I never did the Austria.
Well, this one, since I know you've been there, Fit Finley.
Fit Finley. Fit Finley beat my ass the first time I went to Japan. Me not knowing that Fit Finley had been in the business and had been around the world a while before I had went to New Japan, and I was just going over for my first time for the, well, I believe it was the that GC tournament that they had, the junior tournament that they have. Finley, I remember Super Dolphin, 123 Kid before, they changed his name, Lionheart, you know what I'm saying, before he was Jericho. I remember all the guys being on the tour over there. I remember Fit Finley, some of the guys being over there. And I went to Fit Finley, and it was like, all right, we working tonight, what can you do? And I was like, yeah, we're going to do this, and this. I can do this, and this. And I started rambling off all this shit. And I noticed that he kind of just looked at me like, yeah, right. I know that look now that, I've been in the business for a while, but I just started rambling off all this shit I could possibly do and shit that I wanted to do and all this. And he said, yeah, okay. And he kind of walked away. And then he came back over and he was like, all right, so what can you do? So I said, I can do this and this. We're going to do this and this. He's all right, I'll call it in the ring. So as soon as I got out there, I'm thinking we're going to go in this spot. I locked up with him. He opened up and, wow, European uppercut, forearm, bam, flap over the back. Bam. I was like, oh, shit, I'm into a different world. Yeah, welcome to the business, kid. But then after that, a few kicks was nice and stiff. But after that, man, it was all good. I was able to work with it, man. So.
I will give you, what's that?
About 5 minutes left. Five
minutes left. We can do 5 minutes. All right, then. So I've got 5 minutes to bore you to death with a couple more questions. Mikey,
it's all good, man.
No, I'm really enjoying this. I wish I had 2 hours with you. Someone wanted me to ask about Mikey Whipwreck.
Yes, Mikey Whipwreck is still doing good. Put on the little weight since I last seen him. But Mikey has never changed. He's still the same good old Mikey Whipwreck that he's ever been. And if you ever get a chance to hang out with him, man, he's still got the funniest shit to talk about, and you're still going to have a good time just hanging out with Mikey. If you want to fly Mikey in just to hang out and have a good time, tell stories, he the one to do it with.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go, Chris. You fly in Whipwreck and we'll have a podcast together.
Hey, we'll do it. We'll do it.
All right, so we've got 5 minutes left, or maybe 4 minutes. I've got 2 questions that I do want to ask you about. One is, you weren't at the WWE One Night Stands, but you did sign, or did you even sign with WWE shortly afterwards? And then you were kept on dark matches. Why?
That I had no idea. They had brought me back in for a short time, got me on a contract. We're going to start doing the gimmick. They sent me out to Kentucky to OOV, the LOV room out there. They want to send me down to Tennessee. I was like, nah, fuck that shit. And then after that, I was home. They sent me over. I did the one European tour that we did Portugal, Spain, little gimmick. And I think Booker T said what happened was, what motherfuckers don't realize this shit is before I went down there, I was still over in Japan working every motherfucking night, 7 days, month a week, been in the business just as long. And I think what happened is I think it was either Fit Finley or somebody else or somebody down there. I might have pissed off on that European show because my black ass got up on a massage table and my goddamn G-string like I do and shit and said, fuck, I'm gonna get a massage like everybody else. I was like, what? Fuck, why you getting a massage? You just seen the motherfucker just came in to WCW or WWE at that time. Like, you just coming in and you get a massage in your first tour and shit. I'm like, fuck yeah, motherfucker, this ain't my first barbecue. So, what I'm saying? If motherfuckers had a problem with it, they should have said something. But my thing was kiss my ass about it. They went back and talking shit to Booker T about it. And like I said, me, shit, I don't give a fuck. And so with me not really giving a fuck, next thing you know, it's like, well, we don't got nothing for you. We're going to have to let you go. But the good thing is we're still going to pay you for 3.5, some 9 months. And then they bring out a motherfucking broaded state to try to do the same motherfucking gimmick that I motherfucking did. Like it's going to have any kind of flavor. Shit, what I done did, Too Cold, you can't top it. You can't do it. And if you got Too Cold doing it, don't try to perpetrate and do some flash fuck gimmick with somebody else. That shit ain't going to work. And that's what happened. They got fucked and he got gone and now they ain't got no funky. See, that's what happens. and still owe me money.
That is an incredible reason why to release somebody and make you got half naked on a massage table is essentially it. I will. Okay, I will give you one more question. We will end this podcast. I will thank you for your time. And a couple of people, and especially myself, wanted to know. I've spoke to Dutch Mantel about this very recently. Your memories of the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view.
Don't remember. Smoked so much weed.
I
was like pounds and pounds ago. Refresh my memory.
It was the world's worst pay-per-view, 1999. You faced Julio De Niro. Jake the Snake Roberts was messed up, and he used his snake like a dick in the ring.
I'm going to tell you how bad it was that I don't even remember, because that's probably one of the ones that I'm trying to forget. Oh. But I can almost believe that if I was on that show, it was probably one of the worst pay-per-views ever. But overall, my match, shit, did what I had to do.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well, if that's a bust then, to end the show, give me your favourite, your best, your rudest, whatever it is, story on New Jack.
My rudest?
Whatever you want it to be.
I'm going to tell you a story about New Jack that probably nobody even know. Me and New Jack, kicking back in the day, Atlanta, Georgia, hanging out at my house. We thought we was going to come over to my house. We thought we was just going to chill. My wife going to be like, yeah, she's sweet. We're going to sneak in some weed. We're going to sneak in some coke. We're going to get some crack. We're going to sit downstairs. We're going to get hot. You go over to my house. We can do that shit. So I walk over there. I already know that my wife don't play that shit. So we smoke some weed. She ain't hear shit. We get downstairs, do a couple lines. We ain't heard shit. I like the motherfucking type. Hit that motherfucking crack pipe. Shh. My wife come down there. She told New Jack and me, get the fuck out of my house before I beat your motherfucking ass. Jack was scared. I was scared. That motherfucker got the fuck up and he left my house and they never went the fuck back. So for New Jack being as tough as that motherfucker is, was a pussy that night when that motherfucker ran from my motherfucking house. My wife was going to beat his ass and my ass. Okay?
What a story to end it on. Thank you very much, Too Cold. It's been a particular pleasure. I've wanted to have you on for a long time. And 1 hour is nowhere near enough. So the next time you're down around Moose's place, please come back on, and I'll interview you for as long as you're willing.
You already know, man. Hey, to all the fans out there in the UK and around the world, none but love from Too Cold. You already know. Roll it up, burn it up, because I'm out.